I don't want to live in a nanny state where you and I are dependent on everything that the state provides, dependent on the state solely for information, dependent on the state for our finances, dependent on the state for all of our medical advice, dependent on the state for telling us where we can go, when we can go, what time we can go there. We've even heard in the last 24 hours of potential legislation telling journalists they could go to jail for embarrassing the state. What kind of despot dictatorship are we sleepwalking into, ladies and gentlemen? And if I was going to walk into a dictatorship, do you think I would want that moronic child creator, Boris, being in charge of it? You must be joking. I'd like a good old-fashioned dictator, thank you. Not one who does nothing else but get women pregnant, which is about the only talent he's displayed since he entered journalism and politics. I would like us to move away from, eventually, this nannying that I fear we're all getting a little bit too used to. And I don't like it. I don't like the state telling me where and when I can go to a nightclub. I don't like the state telling me where and when I can enter somewhere because of my health status. I don't like the thought of having an app that tells me where and when I can go somewhere and pings to tell me whether I need to stay home or leave the house. I don't like the idea of the state telling journalists whether they can or can't embarrass people. I don't like the idea of the state continuing to provide financial aid to people and that being the basis for their lives going forward. Of course, it is without question that in times of crisis and in times of emergency, the state becomes bigger. The state becomes a tool for reliance for the population in wartime, in times of crisis. That is when you have a big state. That is when you have big government. But I feel like a lot of this big government is continuing over and above COVID being over. Just look at the powers of Pipsqueak Sadiq, our mayor, who loves to stick his oar into everything that's nothing to do with him. Look at the fact that you can't leave your house at the moment and drive your car without encountering a cycle lane or a low traffic neighbourhood or roads that are closed. The state says you can't go there. The state says you can't drive down that road. The state says you can't go to that pub. The state says you can't go to that nightclub. The state says you can only go shopping to this place. The state says you can only walk in when you've got this mask on. The state says you can only have your livelihood as a result of the kindness of us giving you the money. Now, there's a time and a place for that, don't get me wrong, but the time and the place is finished. It's over. And now I feel like there is too much opportunism. There are too many people who, in government and in opposition and in the London mayoralty and in various mayoralties across the United Kingdom, who are rubbing their hands with glee and that this has been a gift to them. Look at the councils across the UK who, without consultation, have not only closed roads to cars going down them, but have closed pavements because we're having al fresco dining. All well and good. Where's the consultation? What about all of those councils across the UK now saying, sorry, you can't smoke outside? Why? Because we have decided, we have made the decision that you should not have the liberty and should not have the personal responsibility to be able to do that. So we will make the decision. Look at the direction of where we're going with being able to drink on planes. I cherish being able to drink alcoholic drinks on planes, but the state is saying, sorry, you're not responsible enough to do that. Look at the warning labels on absolutely everything. I can't open a bag of nuts without being told they contain nuts. I can't buy a drink without being told that it's hot. How much of my time is wasted reading unnecessary signs and signalage telling me what's going to kill me? I'm surprised they haven't stuck something on my front door telling me I'm going to get run over when I leave the house. I'm done with it. Are you? And look, I know I'm laying it on a bit thick. I know that there is a time and a place for it. Don't get me wrong. state restrictions are needed at times of crisis. What is not needed is the rampant and vile opportunism that's come from it. And all of this, this revelation, has more or less come from vaccine passports. That little pipsqueak Prime Minister that we've got thinking, you know what, I'm going to do a U-turn on a direct promise I made in February. And now he hasn't ruled out the fact that you will need a vaccine passport for a pub. I am pro-vaccine, but I'm anti the state having the cheek to tell me where I can and can't go. What are we walking into? Thatcher would be doing somersaults in her grave at what we are accepting at the moment in our government. We don't have opposition. We've got two moral vacuums of socialism. Socialism from Boris Johnson because he doesn't know what he thinks, and socialism from Keir Starmer because he thinks none of this is going far enough. Where's the alternative?